Hey guys, Jen here with Serenity Hill Farmstead. It is the first week of March, so we're gonna do a homeschool happenings video for you guys today. And this video is gonna be a hot mess. I'm in the middle of product photography for my soap store. I am doing laundry, purging. I've got all the things happening right now, and I didn't have time to clean. So you get some very real life happening here today. So it is what it is. So yep, March. I didn't do an update for February. Sorry if I left you hanging on that. I know some of you really look forward to those updates and chatting about the things that we're doing, you're doing, and just having that community. But you know, February was just kind of more of the same old, same old. We met virtually every goal that we had for February, and I did not make new goals because February, I feel like we've been in survival mode, and I will talk more about that in another video, maybe. And I'm really not trying to make that dramatic or anything. I'm just not going to get into the whole thing. What I will say is Illinois has crazy things happening in it right now politically. And if you follow it, if you live here or you've just heard about it, you understand what I mean. But a lot of the things that we have planned for March, April, May, you know, with our homestead and just living day to day are now halted. And it has been stressful and hard to move forward with really anything, and possibilities of things happening have been stressful for the kids too, because it affects them, and we are very honest with them and what the choices that we will make or possibly make again. So how's that for vague and confusing? But let's get back into homeschooling updates. So like I said, February going into March, I had no goals, nothing. It was just continue on. At the very least, core requirements need to be done. We need to make progress. We need to keep going. And it was going to be more fun schooling, game schooling, things like that. We are still in our co-op, so there's stuff that they're doing there. Every single one of my kids, they do have homework or activities that they're getting from their co-op classes that we do about every other Friday. And that's been fun to kind of build off of that. So this time of year, I think a lot of people are feeling the burnout, are feeling ready to be done. They really need breaks. It's been a long winter. Everybody's got some form of cabin fever or another, and they're just ready for a good long break, like summer. And the kids are bored too, naturally. It's February, March, what is it? It's March. They've got cabin fever. And if you're waiting for me to spout out some helpful new tips and tricks about fighting homeschool burnout, I'm sorry, I have nothing for you. I struggle with that just as much as anybody else does, and sometimes you just have to push through it. Sometimes you can find some helpful things that work for a little while, but ultimately you just kind of got to push through it and get things done that need to get done. Luckily, we have had a very mild winter, and I'm hoping that continues. It is still winter, it is still Illinois, and we could have snow into April or May. But while it is very unseasonably warm, I want to make sure that the kids get outside. And that is something that we usually do all through summer, all through fall, and definitely all through spring. We make sure that we get outside. So I started implementing that again. Wake up, do chores, maybe do a little bit of schoolwork, but like, you know, handwriting or something really simple. And we just kind of have our morning, what we call mom meetings. And then I kind of kick them out. Go outside, go play, get the energy out. We'll do our chores outside. I inevitably have something that needs to be done out there, or I just sit inside and enjoy my coffee in peace. So once they burned off some of that pent up winter cabin fever energy, I bring them back inside and we get some school done. No, it is not easy to get them back inside, but I need to do it, right? And they do actually, once we have that transition, they do actually get their schoolwork done a whole lot faster because A, they've got the incentive to go back outside, and B, they've met those physical needs, especially my ADHD kids. They have met those physical needs and they are ready to, you know, be able to focus. Their brains can focus a little more. So because I do not have any real set goals, and again, continuing into April, because of all of this stuff in limbo, I'm not setting goals. My goal is to get school done 4 days a week, like we normally do, to enjoy the outdoors, to do as much here as we can while we can, and learn from that, which is pretty much just our lifestyle, is to continue on as best we can. So if you've been around for any length of time, you know I have a 9-year-old with dyslexia and an 8-year-old that likely has dyslexia, but it's really hard to give a for sure diagnosis because he has severe ADHD. So it's really hard to tell whether or not he is dyslexic or he just cannot slow his brain down enough to be able to focus on what he needs to focus on without focusing on everything else at the same time. So because of that, I just teach him the same way I teach my 9-year-old who we know is dyslexic, and it's working great. When we started this school year, I had big goals. I wanted my 9-year-old to be in chapter books by the time the school year was done. I think we're gonna get there, I really do. We switched over to the Good and the Beautiful a couple years ago. I really don't see any reason for me to use anything else for the foreseeable future because this is working better than anything I have used before for all of my kids. It's truly wonderful. It's been a big blessing for us. And let me be clear about something. I'm not just saying that because I'm sponsored by them. I want to be really clear because the last time I did a sponsored video, I got some trolls. I got a little bit of hate mail on that. I do not suggest this curriculum because they pay me. They don't actually pay me. They give me curriculum for free, which is amazing. Of course, free curriculum. Who does not want that? But they did not reach out to me. I reached out to them. I sold myself to them to say, hey, I have a consistent channel. I have a decent base of people that watch me, and I can promote your product. Can we do this in exchange for some curriculum? And within a couple years of doing that, I've gotten more and more curriculum, and we've been able to do more and more things. I love this curriculum, and even if I wasn't sponsored by them, I would still use it. So I just want to be clear on that, just to unruffle some feathers there. So Jackson is on level 1 in the course book for language arts for the good and the beautiful. I do count him as 3rd grade level, even though he is on level 1, because when Wyatt switched, now mind you, he is my high schooler, 9th grade, when he switched to the good and the beautiful from whatever curriculum we were using before, I don't even remember, he was very behind, and I had to start him on level 4. I did not think that he was very behind. I thought his writing was very behind where I guess I wanted him to be, or where he should be, which I don't like those terms, but where I felt he should be by then. But he moved up 2 levels that year, 2 levels the next year, and he was ready to start the first year freshman stuff by the time he was a freshman. So because of that, I don't get hung up on the actual level they're on. If he's 3rd grade and he's still on level 1, he's gonna get to level 2, level 3. He might skip a couple levels and jump up to level 6 by the time he's there. But if not, that's okay, because this curriculum is meant to go at their pace, at their skill level, not their grade level. So that being said, I want to show where we're at right now. So we started school in June, and then I got hepatitis A. Yay! If you want to see that whole journey and the saga of my 6-month illness and how bad it got bad, y'all. It was bad. I will pop that up there if you're in the mood for some drama. So we went back to school, let's see, end of September, beginning of October. So you're really considering, we have been doing school since October, we'll say, is when we really got back into our full-time school. From the beginning of October until now, beginning of March. So in that time, he has done, let's see, okay, he's done 33 lessons. So we're on 34 right now. Now, if you're not familiar with this curriculum, I'm not doing a whole review. I'll pop that up there if you guys want to check out a review on this. But this is a great curriculum. It's got everything in there. It's got your reading, it's got your spelling, it's got some vocabulary exposure, it's got geography, it's got everything. It's great. I love it. And then we just have this. So when I'm teaching this, we've got all of those subjects in there, and then we do history and science and a little more geography reinforcement in another curriculum that I put together. And then we've got math for teaching textbooks, and then they do art. This is all mixed in here too. So really 3 things is what I teach them every day, like 3 sit down and we're working out of this book things. And they get everything. It all just rotates through, but 3 books. And that's it. I love it. But he has made some tremendous progress with his reading. This is what he's at now. This is the lesson he did yesterday. At the beginning of the year, this would not have been possible. There's no way. The big thing about this that has made all the difference is it doesn't just do what, we grew up, the mom ages, the mom generation, we grew up with just memorize this, the drill and kill. Memorize this until you've got it and then you move on. It doesn't do that with this. It explains to you, it's what they call an Orton-Gillingham approach. You're gonna have to Google that for all that information because I'm not the expert. Or you can check out my friend Wendy's YouTube channel. She's got great information. She's an Orton-Gillingham tutor. She's certified, she's wonderful, and she has been my go-to for all things dyslexia. So I will link that below in the description box for you guys to check her out. But the way they teach these things is not just memorize. It is understanding the relationship between letters and words. It's understanding rules. It's understanding that if you have a vowel, a consonant, and another vowel, that first vowel is going to have a certain sound to it because that last vowel has a rule to it. It tells that first one what to do. That may sound a little confusing if you're not familiar with it, but I promise you it's not. It's really not. But that understanding, the understanding of why it is the way it is, has been the turning point for him with his reading. And it has been so amazing because it took, you guys, it took me 3 years. 3 years to teach him letters and sounds. 3. So now Caleb. Caleb is my 8-year-old who is diagnosed with ADHD, sensory processing disorder, both sensory seeker and avoider, we get the joys of both, and high functioning autism. So he can be tricky to figure out on a day-to-day basis what is going to work and what is not going to work. I have to be flexible with it. We have a handful of things, and I can do a whole separate video on this if you guys are interested in this, but we have a whole basket of goodies and approaches for him to learn, and he gets to pick what is going to work best for him that day. Sometimes I overrule it and say, no, you need this and we're doing this. But most of the time he's really good, and it's taken some years of therapy and getting him to the point where he can identify where he's at and what's triggering him or what he's not getting enough stimulation in, and he can meet those needs when we're at home. Sometimes he needs help, but he's really gotten really good at it, and therapy has been a huge blessing for that. He has probably been my hardest one to teach to read. He finally has got all of his letters, all of his sounds. He's putting them together. He's memorizing the rules. He's doing the flashcards. He's got his word families that he's working on, and he is making awesome progress also. I have him in the level just underneath Jackson. He's in the kindergarten level for The Good and the Beautiful. He's making great progress through that book too. That book is a lot smaller than Jackson's book for his level 1, but there's no shortage of information and learning in that. It still has mini books, it has a reader, it has the flashcards, it's got all of the same things that level 1 does. It's a fantastic curriculum. So he is making great progress there. My goal for him this year was just to be reading anything. Really, those little Bob books, great, would have been great. The Good and the Beautiful does have those little books, those little like early reader books, and I did get the first, I think it's box A is what it's called. I got that one for him, and he can read those. He's doing great with them. So we just reread the same things over and over and over because repetition is the key, and there's progress. And I'm just so happy that there's progress because for the longest time, it was just at a standstill. And I did all the normal self-doubt of, can I teach him this? I mean, math, we're good. Everything else, we're good. Can I teach him to read? I haven't found the thing that works yet, but we found the thing, we're doing the thing, and the thing's working. If by the end of this school year, he is consistently reading and he is really in the second level of those early reader books, I would be so happy with that. So as far as Evie goes, I decided at the beginning of the year, because Illinois, our wonderful state, has been, or was at that point in time, talking about changing the age of school attendance to 5 years of age. She was not ready, but I bought the curriculum anyway, and we just decided to go ahead and do it. She's not ready. We are seeing some of the same things in her that we saw with both Caleb and Jackson, so we're just nurturing where she's at, focusing on more controlling emotions and more mastering basic letters and sounds and math skills and grouping, and she is doing the good and the beautiful math. We just have to go very, very slow on that. We're not going to get through the whole year. And on the days where emotions is definitely something that we need to focus more on, we do that, and we do more game schooling and more unschooling. And she's another one of my kiddos that all my kids would prefer to be outside. So if we can get her out there, I can do more educational stuff with her there. But I'm really not, my goals for her this year are more behavioral and developmental and not so much academic. I would love for her to master all of her letters. If she doesn't get to the sounds, that's okay. But I would really love for her to master all of her letters, both uppercase and lowercase. And she's got her numbers. She's got the numbers. But the letters are a struggle sometimes. So that is my goal. Emotions and letter recognition and identification. So now my high schooler. The biggest thing I think he has struggled with has been the writing component and the workload in high school. Now, something you have to understand with all of the diagnoses that he has is they all feed off each other. If his anxiety is really high, he is going to tick a lot more, and he's going to have more compulsions than he would otherwise have. If he's having low anxiety days, he can get a lot more accomplished, he's a lot more focused, and he can get everything in without much of a problem at all. On the hard days, we got to work at it. And it requires more of me being there with him, just encouraging him. He can handle the assignments, he can do all the reading. The writing is difficult, and just the workload can be difficult. So we've had to kind of adjust things a little bit. The writing that is in the good and the beautiful, he hates the inside journals. The inside journals can be difficult for him. So I've been thinking about switching him to IEW. I think the part about writing that he hates so much is that there's so many different moving parts to it and so many steps. And from what I have looked at and played with IEW, it's a little more straightforward, I guess, and it would be less steps than what he's used to doing now, and I think he would probably thrive with it. I think I might just do it. Now, the biggest goal I had for him, just as a whole, was working on his executive functioning skills. This is the primary issue with ADHD individuals. Being able to say, I have this to do, and I have to get to this. All that stuff in between, we suck at. It's really hard to organize all of the things and be mindful of the time and all the steps it takes to get there without everything falling apart somewhere along the line and us just giving up and it falling away and it doesn't happen. So I've been working with him in this workbook that is building executive functioning for teenagers. It has really opened our eyes to some things, opened my eyes to a lot of things, even in myself, that need to be worked on. And I think it's definitely not fixing it, but it's giving us things to work on, and there has been improvement on it. And this is going to be a lifelong struggle. But I think learning the tools, especially since this is something that should have been started years and years ago, we just didn't know. This is something that we're going to really hit heavy now, and we're really going to work every single day, school or no school, and build those skills. As far as math goes, all my kids are doing great. As far as history and science goes, they're all doing great. Language arts has really, for all my children, been the struggle, which I don't get, because I have no problem with language arts. English was always my strong subject. Math was my worst. My husband is the opposite, though. He's the math person. So there you go. So that's my update. Not a whole lot of failures, just survival mode. And the goals moving forward is to plug along and focus on our long-term goals and achieving those. Because when everything settles down in Illinois, those goals, those things that need to happen are still going to be there. So we're just going to focus on the long term and do what we have to do to achieve that. So as usual, I would love to hear what you guys have been doing for the last, I guess, 2 months now. How has your winter gone? How have your homeschool goals been? Are you going crazy with the burnout? And what are you doing to help yourself through that? So leave comments down below. I would love to hear them, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.